Hello everybody, welcome into another lesson. So today we are going to talk about exponents. And to some of you this will largely seem like a review, but it is very necessary because we're going to be moving into other things here with exponents in the coming lessons, not too distant future. So exponents, if we remember, is repeated multiplication. So for example, I have x times x times x times x times x. I'm multiplying it by itself 5 times. So, of course, I'm going to have the base be an x. That's the base. Now, the exponent is the number of times you're multiplying it. I'm multiplying it 5 times, right? So that'd be to the 5th power. So to write this as an exponent, you would have the base x, the power 5. So this would be x to the 5th power. Alright, what's the next one? Now we have m times m times m. Alright, so we got m times m times m. Well, the base is m. That's what's being multiplied. Now, how many times is it being multiplied? We got 1, 2, 3. So that would be m to the 3rd power because it's being multiplied 3 times. Alright, now this is a little bit different. You have 4 times t times t times t. Well, it looks like we got repeated multiplication on the t. Whenever you have a coefficient, you keep the coefficient. You'll have 4 times, now you got your base t. Now how many times is t being multiplied? 1, 2, 3. It's being multiplied 3 times. So you'd have 4 times t to the 3rd, which is just simply 4t to the 3rd. So this can be written as 4t to the 3rd. So your constants just kind of hang out there and become part of the multiplication. What's the next one? We got c times 3 times c. Okay. So this one, we got c times 3 times c. Well, it's very clear that c is being multiplied repeatedly. We just have that constant of 3. So that constant of 3 is going to hang out, become part of the multiplication. So you have 3 times the base of c. Now how many times is c being multiplied? 1, 2, 3. So you have 3 times c to the 3rd, which would just simply be 3c to the 3rd. So to write this in exponential form, it would be 3c to the 3rd. Alright, we got -6 times z times z. Well, it looks like z's being multiplied repeatedly. We just have that constant of -6, so you'll take that constant of -6 times that base of z. Z is your base. Now how many times is z being multiplied? 1, 2. So that'd be -6 times z to the 2nd, or simply -6z squared. You would get -6z squared. That's exactly what you would get. Alright, this one, you got y times -5. So it's clear to see that y is being multiplied repeatedly, but you got that constant of -5. So your -5 will hang out, become part of the multiplication. So you have -5 times, now your base is y. How many times is it being multiplied? 1, 2. So that's the power of your exponent. It would be -5y squared, or it would just be -5y squared. You would just write it like that. -5y to the 2nd power. So exponents, there really isn't much to it. In fact, this is probably going to be a short lesson today. Alright, we got -3 times x times 2 times x. Now we got two constants in here, but it looks like x is being multiplied repeatedly. Well, constants you just multiply like normal. This would be -3 times 2. That'd be -6. Then you have x times x. Well, your base is x. How many times is x being multiplied? Twice. So your answer for this would be -6x squared. That's exactly what you would get. Alright. We got 7 times n times -2 times n. Alright, so we have the constant 7 and -2. We just multiply those like normal. 7 times -2 is -14. Then you have times the n. That's your base for what's being multiplied repeatedly. Now, how many times is it being multiplied? 1, 2. So you have -14 times n to the second, or simply -14 n to the second. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that might be it. No, it's not it. There's more. I'm glad there's more, because some of these can turn into a doozy. We have a times b times b times b. Okay. So now all of a sudden we have two things being multiplied repeatedly. Well, this is where you take your each base. So we'll start with a. You have a. How many times is a being multiplied? 1, 2. So you take that a to the second times your base of b. Now how many times is b being multiplied? 1, 2, 3. So you'll have a to the second times b to the third, or you could simply write this as a squared b cubed. That is exactly how you'd write this, as a squared b cubed. Lesson might not be as short as I thought, but the exponents are very important to drive home. Alright, we got c times d times c times c. So, we got, again, two bases being multiplied repeatedly. We'll start with c. It's best to go in alphabetical order with these terms too. In the math community, it's best to go in alphabetical order. So we have c, that base. How many times is c being multiplied? 1, 2, 3. So you'll have that c to the third times your base of d. How many times is d being multiplied? Only once. So this can just be written as c to the third d. That's exactly how you can write this, as c to the third d. We got m times 8 times m times n times n. Okay. So we have a constant here, and we got two bases being multiplied repeatedly. So of course the constant hangs out, becomes part of the multiplication. Now let's go in alphabetical order. Let's start with base m. So you have 8 times m, but to what power? How many times is m being multiplied? 1, 2. So that'd be 8 times m to the second power times your base n, which how many times is n being multiplied? 1, 2. Also to the second power. So multiplying these together, you can write 8m squared n squared. That's exactly how you can write it in terms of an exponent. That's what you get, 8m squared n squared. I got about 5 more examples, then we'll be done. So we got u times v times u times u times 9. Okay, so we got u times v times u times u times 9. Well, let's single out the constant first. We'll make that 9 part of our multiplication. Now let's go in alphabetical order here. We have base u. How many times is u being multiplied? 1, 2, 3. So u to the third times your base v. How many times is v being multiplied? Only once. So we can write this as 9u to the third v. That's the answer you would get for your exponents, 9u to the third v. Alright, negative 3 times x times y times x. Okay. So again, we got that constant of negative 3. Let's single that out first. You'll have negative 3 times, now x comes before y, so let's do our base x. So negative 3 times x to what power? 1, 2. So negative 3 times x to the second power times y to what power? Just 1. So you can write this as negative 3 x squared y. That's exactly how you could write that for your exponents. Negative 3 x squared y. Alright, we got r times negative 4 times s times s. Okay. So, we got that constant of negative 4. Let's put that on the outside. Times, let's go in alphabetical order. We have r. How many times is r being multiplied by itself? Just once. So that'd be r to the first times s. Now how many times is s being multiplied by itself? Twice. So that'd be s to the second power. So you can write this as negative 4r s squared. That would be the exponential notation for that. It would be negative 4r s squared. Let's see, we got F, G, F, H times H. Okay. So we got F times G times F times H times H. No constants this time, so let's go straight for our bases. Alphabetical order, first comes F. F is being multiplied by itself how many times? 1, 2. So that'd be f to the second power times that base of g. How many times is g being multiplied? Just once. So g to the first times your base of h. How many times is h being multiplied? 1, 2. So all that times h to the second power. So you could simply write this as f squared g h squared. That's how you can write this. F squared GH squared would be the answer. And last problem, then we're done for the day. We got P times Q times Q times R times S. Alright. So it looks like we got 4 variables there we got to consider. Well, let's go in alphabetical order. Since p comes first, you'll have p. Now, how many times is p being multiplied by itself? 1, 2. So p to the second power times, next would be q. Q's being multiplied by itself how many times? 1, 2. So q to the second power times r. R is being multiplied how many times? Just once. So times r to the first times s to what power? Just 1. So this could be written as p squared q squared rs. That's how we can write this, as p squared q squared rs. So really with exponents, again, just repeated multiplication. How many times is it being multiplied by itself? And then constants just become part of the multiplication. But next lesson we are going to get into adding and subtracting polynomials, which will be different than anything we've done so far. So I hope everyone has a good day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, and take care.